niggas got to get together. But not just any niggas. You know, real niggas. Street niggas. They seriously considering letting Larry Hoover out of jail. Now, I know that we've been hearing this for years. I know that it may sound kind of crazy. Some people may think that it's irrelevant. But I think that we may be on the cusp of getting Hoover out of jail. For those people in the back who don't know who Larry Hoover is, man, Larry Hoover is basically one of the most highly renowned gangsters from the city of Chicago. Not just a gangster, you know what I'm saying? Chairman of the board, who some say was crowned by David Barksdale himself as king over the disciples. He had a lot of influence. I would be remiss in everything that I'm saying in this video if I didn't bear witness to the fact that Larry Hoover probably played, if not the biggest part, definitely one of the biggest parts in molding the gang culture in the city of Chicago. Larry Hoover, Jeff Fort, you know, the Mickey Caldwells, you know, motherfuckers like Walter Wheat, Freddie Gage, Angelo Roberts, you know what I'm saying? King Shorty, and, you know, Larry Hoover. When you say Larry Hoover name, Larry Hoover, top tier, you know? Larry Hoover name might be just as big or bigger than all the rest of those names. I said that because everywhere you go in the United States, I don't think it's a state that you can go to where you won't find GDs. You know, I'd have been to plenty states that, you know, didn't have no Stones, that didn't have no Vice Lords, that didn't have BDs. You know, I'd have been to plenty states that didn't have foes and, you know, every other organization or gang that you could think about. But one thing that these states have, whether it's in the South, whether it's out west, they got GDs. It's going to be a GD in every state. It's a GD stronghold in every state in the U.S. And that says a lot. In Chicago, for a while, I'm not sure about now, but maybe still so, GDs was the biggest mob in Chicago. You know, it was a lot of GDs, you know. And that influence came from Larry Hoover, how he had it structured, you know, and they stood on business and they stood on principles. Now it's like it's not as nowhere near as structured, but believe this or not, the GDs still got a lot more structure than a lot of different, you know, a lot of different sets, especially in the South. The South is where you're going to find most of your structure at now. Sad to say, in the city of Chicago, it's not much there, but, you know, as you go south, where it used to be watered down, so to speak, now it's like that's where you're going to find most of your structure. Now, they're seriously having a hearing, man, and they literally thinking about freeing Larry Hoover. It's been a long time, man. Larry Hoover got locked up in the 70s. He got his life sentence in 98, you know, and man, it did what, 50 years, you know what I'm saying, if not 50, you know, right at 50. So it's like, how long are y'all gonna hold this man? I mean, the man is 73. The argument has been made for years now that Larry Hoover deserves a chance to get out, as was the argument that was held for Tukey Williams, which eventually, you know, Arnold Schwarzenegger ended up taking him out, you know, sending him to the chair or whatever. But Hoover definitely still has a chance. They say they argue he deserves a break from the life sentence handed to him in 1998. Their bid to secure mercy for Hoover, 73, has lingered for years at the Dirksen Federal Courthouse. But now a federal judge has scheduled a hearing for this fall and ordered prosecutors to make Mr. Hoover present in person when it happens. The brief order Tuesday from U.S. District Judge John Blakey sets the stage for a rare public appearance September 26th by a man who's been labeled one of the most notorious criminals in Illinois history, but who claims to have renounced the criminal organization he once led. Hoover acknowledged in 2022 letter. Hoover acknowledged in a 2022 letter that some misguided people continue to hold me up as a symbol, but he added, if I had any ability to influence them, I'd ask that they forget me and forsake the gang life forever. Those were the words of Larry Hoover himself, you know? So it all comes down to, like I always say, when you young and you thug and you out here, you doing this and you doing that in the streets, you really don't give a fuck, you know? You either get smoked or you go to prison. If you have a chance on getting out of prison, you normally end up doing a bunch of time, or either getting a slap on the wrist and then getting out and doing some more dumb shit and then going back to prison, where you probably gonna get slaughtered at that point, or get another slap on your wrist until you either get out, get killed, or eventually end up coming back to prison with a lot of time. Either way it go, once you get to a certain age, man, you realize that you wasted a lot of time as a shorty on dumb shit. You wasn't out there getting no money. You know what I'm saying? You wasn't doing nothing productive for society. You probably got kids that you basically abandoned, whether you went to prison, died, or, you know, just wasn't no hell of a father, drug addict or whatever. But once you get a certain age and you done with all that bullshit and you ready to live life, you 45, 50, you realize, like, damn, hey, a lot of times it be too late. And even if it's not too late, you got to get out here and earn a living. So it's like, now I'm 45, I got to get out here and earn a living. I got to get out here and get me a motherfucking job. I should have did that shit from the beginning. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's all I be saying, like, on some real shit. Like, stop wasting your time. You hear from the horse's mouth itself. Now, I know Larry Hoover trying to get out of prison, but he's 73. He's supposed to be trying to get out of prison. You know? They basically gave that man a life sentence for some shit that he did in the 70s or the late 60s. And then on top of that, he's basically still in there for being the face of an organization that really don't give a fuck about him, if we just being honest. I don't give a fuck about Hoover, you know? Because if y'all did give a fuck about Hoover, y'all would be doing what needs to be done for him to get out. Hoover could have been out. Real talk. Y'all won't sit down. Y'all won't do the right thing. Y'all won't help the community, you know? And it ain't just y'all. It's the Stones, the Foes, the Vice Lords, everybody, the Crips, the motherfucking Bloods, you know what I'm saying? Like, real talk. So, y'all, we ain't gonna sit here and act like we really give a fuck about Hoover. Let's not sit here and act like if Hoover do get out, motherfuckers gonna back the chief out now. No, I don't think that's gonna happen. I don't think that's gonna happen at all. You know, you still got a lot of people that's gonna respect him and fall up under him and take orders from him, but those people are, you know what I'm saying, far in between that's gonna do that. And those people are gonna be older people. None of these shorties gonna give a fuck about what Hoover got to say for real, you know. And you might have the shorties that be crazy enough to try to do something to him, just being honest. But I do think it's a good thing. I do think Hoover need to, you know, see the light of day again. You know what I'm saying? I don't think you should ever criticize a man for doing some shit for 50 years. What the fuck he do? You know what I'm saying? Like, he ain't did nothing that goddamn bad. You know? He ain't did nothing the rest of these goddamn hoodlums ain't did. You feel me? At least Hoover was standing on goddamn some type of principles back in the day. Straight up. It's your boy SNTV. I'm out.